Hello everyone, welcome to another video from Fantasy Football Scout, and hello to all the people listening on the podcast version as well. I've got another very special guest today after the success of speaking to Andy Social the other week. We've got another Fantasy Football Scout regular. He's not a horse, he's not an animal, he's a man.
Yeah.
It's Rupert the horse. I'm a little bit disappointed, Rupert, that you're not in like a full horse, like dressage outfit.
Yeah, sorry, I should have really, but I didn't think the mic would work properly. I thought we'd end up a bit muffled.
No, yes, that is true actually. I mean, Andy and I did have some sound issues on the last video, so if you turned up and been muffled again, it might have led to some more complaints. But other than that, it was a great video. It was really good. It's great hearing from people from Scout.
And that wasn't a dig, Andy, if you're watching.
He's going to be fuming. He's going to be fuming at that. I think he's gone out and bought a new headset as well, just because he heard it back. I was trying to explain to him, because it's hard to explain to someone when their sound isn't quite working. And then he heard it back and was like, "Oh yeah, it was a bit bad." But yeah, next time, Andy, we'll get your sound sorted and yeah, we'll do another video soon. So Rupert, thanks so much for joining me. You've been, I mean, we know each other quite well because we've done quite a few of the community tournaments together.
Yeah.
I think you were part of a mutiny when I was captain one year.
Yeah, and rightly so, I think. Yeah.
they're tough. When you're the manager of teams and you've got 10 people and you're looking at the teams, you're trying to work out who you should play. I got it wrong every week. I remember it was so hard knowing who to play, knowing who to bench, and I got it wrong. And yeah, everyone rebelled against me. But I do remember that when everyone rebelled, they didn't get it right either. So it's not.
I mean, you did all right. At least you didn't get injured after 5 minutes, pretty much every game.
That's true. Yeah, because you did the tournament, right? The charity tournament.
Yeah. I did. Well, we've done about 3 or 4.
Yeah,
3 or 4. Which would be lovely to sort of try and organise another one. Hopefully, once all this COVID stuff is over.
Yeah, there is one. There's one in the summer. I think Betty Blanco on Twitter. You don't use Twitter. We'll talk about that in a sec. But yeah, Betty Blanco is organising like a north and a south charity match, which I'm somehow playing.
Oh,
the Great Divide. The Great Divide. So yeah, we're kind of see how that goes. But yeah, so you've been on Scout for ages. You've been suggested to me as one of our top posters that I needed to get in contact with and have on the stream.
Awful suggestion. Awful.
And this is, if you're the best it gets, right? Then we've got to. No, it's. I mean, like I said, I've known you for ages. So when did you kind of discover Scout? How long have you used it for?
I've used it for 8 or 9 years. I actually I started using it because I really liked the ticker. And I don't know if there's updated versions elsewhere, but I still use the ticker as my main tool, and that's pretty much what I've always used it for, mainly as the big sort of advantage. In terms of commenting and stuff, yeah, I think I started a bit more about 7 years ago. It was quite different back then. I mean, lots of different people, things have developed in a different way now. But yeah, back about 8 years ago, I think I was actually unemployed for a bit, and I was on Fantasy Football Scout all day long.
Sounds about
People
right.
actually asked me, maybe shouldn't you get off a bit, do something else? I was like, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, it's a great community. It still is. Even with, we were talking to before this about Twitter and how a lot of people have moved over to there, and it's one of the world's biggest platforms. Obviously, it's easy to use and all that kind of stuff. But there's still this amazing community over on Fantasy Football Scout who use the boards, and even with all the rate my teams and match day chaos and stuff. I mean, I've had some amazing memories on Scout and the boards. When a highly owned player gets a goal or an assist, and there's just pages and pages of people sort of celebrating. It's I quite like it.
Yeah, it's amazing, especially 3 o'clock kickoff on a Saturday. I mean, you can go from a page lasting an hour to a minute.
I know.
Everyone's screaming the exact same thing. I'm still trying to figure out what CU means, but yeah.
Because you're also not a very what's the nicest way of putting it? A technologically astute man. You never owned a PC, you were telling me.
No, I've never owned a PC or laptop. No, I'm awful. I'm one of these type people. I'm a screen poker. So yeah, I'm using my other half's laptop, and as you could tell earlier, it took me 3 or 4 minutes to figure out how to turn up the volume. Yeah, so everything I write on Fantasy Football Scout, every transfer, every wild cards, every time I look at the ticker, it's all on my little
All on
phone.
your phone. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite impressive. I mean, writing out like lots of pages of posts and stuff on your phone as well is maybe you need to get like one of those little keyboards for Christmas, like a mini one.
Yeah. No, I will get a laptop soon. I've got something coming up, so I will need to finally join the rest of the world in 2022.
It's
Yeah.
not much fun, to be fair. I wouldn't bother. Just stick to your
No,
phone.
no,
Lived 20 years ago. Life was probably a lot easier then.
yeah.
Right, let's talk about your sort of season history so far. So you've got a pretty
Okay,
good
yeah.
season history. You've been playing since
That's
07,
right.
08, yeah, which is about when I started as well.
Yes, so this is my 15th season. Yeah,
Veteran
yeah,
of the game.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it goes back. I think the earliest it goes back is 06, 07. I think that's when they started kind of logging the scores and things.
That's almost disappointing.
Yeah, I know. We're 1 year out, both of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, so yeah, I mean, you started in 07 or 08, so you had a 161,000 finish in your first season. I don't know how many players were playing then. That doesn't seem that good though.
Um, well, that was one of my proudest seasons because I actually started in game week 5.
No way.
Yeah, so I think I was about 220 points um, behind the league leader when I started, and actually won my mini league.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was, and this is before. I mean, overall rank didn't come into my mind up until I joined Fantasy Football Scout. It just wasn't something that I ever looked at. It was only ever my one and only mini league. So I'd always be focusing on this guy, my main rival back then, and to win that. When I joined in game week 5, using uh, a computer in India, because I was in India at the time, I put together this team because my friend came and met me, and yeah, went on and won the mini league, which was just the best thing ever.
It's interesting because I mean I started using Fancy Scout around the same time. That was to win a work mini league. It's the same with Andy. I'm guessing you're going to tell me that you started playing properly around the 2012-13 season because that's when you finished
Oh,
10k after just finishing outside the top million,
yeah.
and then
Yeah,
you had a really good run of ranks after that as well. Was that about when you started taking it a bit more seriously rank wise?
I mean, that's when I started to notice overall rank. I
Mm,
think pretty much, and it's also when I started to discover stats.
mm.
Um, there's a chap who used to be on the Fantasy Football Scout called Dusra, and do you remember Dusra at all?
Oh, of course, of course.
He used to have these tables which I could never understand. He'd take the time out and explain them to me, and I still wouldn't understand. But what I would understand is his reasoning behind going for
Mm.
certain players. And so I'd then look into those players, but in my own way, looking at crosses into the box, successful crosses into the box, key passes. And that's when I found people like Tadic's stats. Do you remember Tadic?
I do indeed. He never
So
really delivered on his promise, did he? He was always top of every stats table metric there was, but
apart from one week, um,
against Sunderland,
and he got 23 points,
he did
didn't he?
indeed.
And that's the week I got him in.
Yeah, that
And
was Sunderland.
yeah,
Pella as well. Remember Pella?
yeah, I had Pella, Tadic, and Bertrand,
That's right.
and I think they got me around 44
Yeah,
points or something mad like that.
amazing what that is.
Um, yeah, And that was all down to Deuce really. Well, once I looked at Tadic, I then looked at other players and I got them in, and then I discovered this whole new way of figuring out who to get because I've always purely and simply been a fixtures man.
Mm. So would
Well, a
you
little bit of
say
form.
is that something you've carried on there? Are you still like big on the stats?
I do look at a little bit of stats, but I'd say I pay less attention to it now, um, purely because I'm quite busy
Mm.
um,
Not unemployed
and I
anymore.
yeah yeah and annoyingly I'll get my millions one day, but yeah, so I've switched back again more to looking at fixtures and also looking at suggestions on the scout because a lot of people will kind of do the digging for me if you like, um, and
You casual
occasionally,
Rupert.
yeah, I know, I feel like I'm casual, like I keep forgetting to pick a good vice captain or switch my captain or lots
I'm
of
guilty of
silly
that this week.
little. Say again.
I'm guilty of that this week. Didn't give the vice captain enough thought. Left it on King. Should have known that second game was gonna get called off.
Yeah, I mean, this week I did think a lot about, but I actually meant to captain De Gea rather than Bowen. What I think I did was, I think I put it on Sanchez, my other keeper, and then switched the keepers round. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I've only discovered it this week. If you switch the players, the captain moves to your vice. Is
Okay.
that right?
It's okay. Well, as in your
Um,
lineup.
I believe so because
Okay.
it's happened 2 weeks in a row. Nobody believes me, but it's happened 2 weeks in a row. I've switched someone out, and then I've gone right. Let's see what this game week's going to bring. And then I'm going, hang on, that's that's not my captain.
Oh,
So
that's
I'm trying to
amazing.
figure out why my captain's not the captain that I thought it would be.
It's amazing that
Um,
you've been playing for like 14 years and yet you're
yeah.
still learning stuff about the basic like
I
functionality.
know. Choose a captain. There you
Choose a
go.
captain, and if you swap
Done.
him out, make sure your captain and your vice are on the right players.
Maybe check.
Maybe check, yeah, or or don't bother and just hope for the best.
Yeah.
It's interesting because you had a really good run. I mean, from 2012 to 13, you finished 10k, 32k, 2k, which is your highest finish, 6.5k, and then about 40k. And then you've been struggling a bit over the last couple of years. 125k down to 51k, good finish. And then a bad year in 2019, 800, which is your second worst.
Yeah.
And then last year, 346. So you've obviously found it a bit tough in sort of COVID times, but you're having a good season this year.
Yeah. Well, I found it tough, I suppose, because there's a lot more information. So my digging, um, up until a certain point, has less, effect, less impact,
Mm,
because there is just more information out there for people just to find quite easily. Whereas I would, invest time, too much time, for a game like this. But um,
don't know what
no,
you mean. I'll never do that.
no, of course you don't. But with COVID, I'd say last year was my first truly unlucky year.
Mm,
So I don't really like to blame luck because if you got bad luck, you'll get good luck another week. But last year, it was it was honestly hilarious. All I could do was laugh because players were getting injured during the warm up,
yeah.
things like that. Yeah, and I'm always a very late transfer sort of guy. That's why I never have a very high team value. If kickoff is on Saturday, if the deadline's 11 o'clock, I'll tend to make a transfer around 10:30,
Mm,
quarter to 11, um, just to make super sure. But yeah, last year was just relentless. Every single transfer I made, I think for about 9 weeks in a row, each one got injured. It was
wow.
just absolutely mental.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Sometimes you can always get on a run with bad decisions, even if the decisions themselves aren't bad. I'll get a run of bad outcomes. I mean, even if the decisions themselves aren't that bad. Because I've struggled in I struggled last season as well. Never seemed to be bringing in the right players. Whereas this year, it seems to be gone completely the other way. And I'm guessing this year you're not that luck hasn't carried on because you're sitting quite pretty at 63,000.
Well, so my rank is all to do with pre-season, and I really wanted Ben Rama. I wanted him as soon as he was sold, because I've got a friend who got me into Brentford, so I'd watched quite a bit of Brentford. But Ben Rama, he was my top of my list pretty much because I just really fancied him. Sort of like when Salah first came in. Not that they're quite the same player, but when Salah first came in, I was like, I know about this guy. I have to have him in my team. And so I had Antonio, Ben Rama, and they were my two main guys that shot me up. So I shot up to about where I am, and I've been there pretty much all season. I got up to about 19k a month or two ago, and then I've just slowly fell down. I mean, I was one of the guys who I've got caught out. As I said, I always do late transfers. So I was one of the guys who got caught out by the crash.
Oh, I was going to ask. I was going to ask. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you weren't on a free hit though, at least, which is
no, I wasn't.
Something.
I was doing Salah to Son. So was one of my rivals. So we were both, to be fair, we were both doing the same move. So it didn't really affect the league, but I actually care more about overall rank now than the league itself. So yeah, that was incredibly frustrating because it's cost me quite a few points. But c'est la vie, I'll know now.
Yeah,
I'll move it back to 10 minutes before deadline instead.
I mean, you talk about luck, and I mean, you leave your transfers as late as possible, because you never know when a game is going to get called off. You leave them as late as possible, and the site crashes. It's impossible to kind of predict. Sometimes you just got to just accept that certain things are out of our control and not beat yourself up too much about it. But it's not always easy to do.
A lot of people did say, you should have expected it, but never even occurred to me. I don't even. Just wasn't for me. There was no real precedent apart from that year where we all got a second wild card. But it just wasn't something I thought about.
Yeah, strange. Let's have a look at your team going forward then, because like I said, you're 63k in the world. You're pretty well set up, I think. So your team. I'll just read out who you've got. You've got Tahir in goal. You've got Trent, Keane, and Cancelo. Jota, Rafinha, Bowen, and Mount. Dennis, Ronaldo, Antonio. And then on your bench, you've got Sanchez, Gray, Janssen, and Dawson. You got a couple of interesting names. You currently got Dennis captain, which I know is
interesting.
First away,
a kind way to put it. Yeah.
Would you? Well, yeah. I don't think any picks are bad. They're just, I would say, Dennis captain. I mean, Rafinha isn't in too many teams, but you've managed to work him back in. You've got Mount. I guess you've got a decision to make with him, given they've got a couple of blanks coming up, and you talk about the fixtures and stuff.
Yeah.
How come Mount ended up in your side?
Why did Mount end up in there? Because I will be selling Ronaldo to afford Salah,
right.
And Mount will become Salah. Okay. So for me, it was I didn't know what to do this week. I thought, with everybody either free hitting or regretting free hitting or taking -8s, I almost didn't want to be that guy who saves his transfer because I was pretty much going to save my transfer. But I thought, look, if I have a little punt on Mount, hopefully he plays both. Only played a few minutes in the first. It doesn't really matter that much because I'd probably end up hitting to get Salah back anyway. So I thought I'll just have a quick little punt. It hasn't paid off yet, but later tonight.
I will say we're recording this at 5:39. I think this video will go out tomorrow, so it could be off the back of a huge Mount haul. This goes out, and you'll look like an absolute genius.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
yeah, that, and I pretty much just nicked it off the fantasy football scout. It was one of the
You're
scout
not,
picks. I was like, all right.
to be fair, I would say you're not supposed to say that, but it's quite a good sort of advertisement for Scout, unless he blanks, or unless he's already blanked, and you're watching this and you go, "Oh yeah, that's a standard Scout pick, someone who's not done well." Should be an interesting game actually tonight. We won't talk too much about it because it'll already have happened, but yeah, I'm
Well, I think it will be an interesting game because Brighton, they're tricky, aren't they? And they've already annoyed Chelsea this season. The things that Potter's doing there, I respect him so much. So I think it will be a really tricky one. Defensively, they're amazing, and think what they could do if they actually had a striker.
I know. Don't even get me started. The game
Yeah,
against Palace was one of the most frustrating games I've seen in about 2 weeks since Brighton last played football. So, yeah, it's how it normally works. So yeah, come back to your team. You got Keane in there. You actually benched Keane this week,
why did I
which
bench
was
Keane?
which was good going. Well,
Yeah,
he got an own
I'm
goal,
glad.
-2. So you did well, but you benched him against Norwich. That was interesting. You're not afraid to make some fairly big calls then.
Well, so I think it was who else would I have considered? I
You
saw a lot
played,
of people bench Cancelo. No,
yeah,
I'm not. I'm
yeah.
not. I'm not benching him. I'm not benching Trent. So it narrowed down the options. Obviously, I had to play Dennis because look, he hasn't got the double game week, but he could have had a double game.
Mm.
So it didn't leave too many options. I mean, he's actually second after Rafinha. So Rafinha could have even played for someone like in hindsight, maybe Rafinha should have gone in for Gray because I should have just said to myself, Gray's a bad pick. But again, it's the Norwich thing. So I was like, I've got two Everton players. Surely I've got to play one against Norwich. And I couldn't believe the score when I checked my phone,
I know.
not my laptop. When I checked my phone, I could not believe the score. Oh my God, what's going on
What
with
do you think about
Everton?
Everton going forward then? Because firstly, actually, before I ask the question, how much football do you kind of watch? Would you say
Um,
are you really into it, or kind of just a bit of a passing
I
observer?
I no, I love football, but I don't have a traditional job which would afford me the time to be watching. A lot of the games are designed to be on, obviously, when the majority of people are off. So when everyone's off, I'm
You're
definitely
on.
working.
Yeah.
um, and yeah, the area I work is very much a rugby type area. Um, but yeah, so I watch as much as I can. I watch every match today without fail. I haven't missed an episode for years.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I try and watch extended highlights of my team, Liverpool. But yeah, I just don't get enough time to watch the
Liverpool
games.
fan. I didn't know that
Yeah,
about you.
yeah. Well, my dad's from Liverpool, so it's not. I'm actually from down south, but yeah, support Liverpool always have.
Yeah, nice. And well, obviously two of those in your team and plans to get Salah back. So you've got two Everton in your team at the moment. How do you reckon they're gonna
Hmm.
get on now that Benitez was? It's gone worse than I think a lot of people even expected. And I don't think anyone thought it was going to go particularly well.
I thought it would go really, really badly, and it surprised me as it surprised you. I can't
Mm.
believe it's gone as bad as it has. I mean, signing an ex-Liverpool manager to manage Everton was, I don't know. I was very confused.
Yeah.
Um, but going forward, um, even though the Everton fans are good, they always got behind the players, even if they didn't get behind the manager. Don't know, new manager bounce, but who's the manager going to be? Be a bit odd if Martinez took the job
Martinez,
because
Rooney,
how's
Lampard's being linked as well.
yeah, Martinez not for me. He's just not the sort of manager to help. You know, he can't give what they need at the moment. You know, if they were further up the table, maybe he could bring his style in, but no, not Martinez.
Yeah, they've got Villa, Newcastle, Leeds, Southampton, and you've got two of their players. So you're going to find it hard to sell them, given that run.
I know, I know. This is where I get stuck. You see,
We've all been
you
there.
know, in 3 weeks' time, if they they've been battered, it will be, well, why did you hang on to Everton players? Like, they've been rubbish. Um, then again, I've only just got them in. That was an absolute waste of a wild card, by the way, a couple of weeks ago. So I've only just got them in, and I am, wary of hanging on to players for too long. So I'm not sure. They're staying for now because, like I said, like most people, I've got to get Salah back. I need to move on Mount. So they'll stay purely and simply because I don't really like taking hits very much. So they'll just hang about. But hopefully the fixtures can turn their form and the new manager can turn their form as well.
You've taken 2 hits all season.
Yeah, I think one of them, I took a hit. The more recent one, I think I wasn't sure if I'd get 11 out. And I think the other player might have been having an extremely tough fixture like City away or something like that. So I took a hit to ensure that I'd get 11 out. And I think, well, if I'd have just risked it, I wouldn't have had the -4. Plus, I'd have had an additional 4 points. So, because that player did play and he did all right.
It was back in game week 16, your last hit. You brought in Mount, Bernardo Silva, and a goalkeeper, De Gea, for McCarthy, who I think was injured, right?
Yeah. Put me on the spot now.
Ringing the bells?
yeah. I remember McCarthy being out. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be able to field the team.
The only reason I mention it is because a lot of people are taking a lot of hits at the moment, because they're bringing in players and then they're not playing, or they're, it's double game weeks, they're bringing in double game week players. But the fact you haven't taken a hit since game week 16, because I was similar, because I think I'd taken about 2 hits right up until game week 16, but now I've taken 3 hits in the last 5 weeks.
Why have you taken hits?
Well, I've taken hits to kind of try and get on board double game week players, or if I've had blank fixtures and needed to get a squad out and that kind of thing. But you've obviously been able to get a team out, and your ranks haven't massively suffered, as a result of it. So it's just interesting that strategy is different to what quite a lot of people are doing, I think.
I think part of it's due to me making transfers so late in the game that I get to hear more news. Like, with Burnley looking like they might have a few issues COVID-wise, I thought, is the Watford game going to be on then? Am I going to hit to get someone like King in? No. And there were other things like United. I didn't United with Ronaldo. Sorry, I had Ronaldo had a bit of a problem, so I knew, I'm not going to captain him. So all those sort of really late things sort of affects the way I think. So yeah, I don't take hits purely and simply because I leave things so late, so I have more information. Whereas a lot of my rivals, they always take a hit the day before, but then they have to hit again.
Yeah,
because that hit hasn't paid off, if you know what I mean. Like getting in Maddison and then finding out that he doesn't have a double game week. They're like, but I really want another double game weeker. All right, I'll take another hit.
And they get moreish as well. Once you start taking them, you can't stop yourself. That's kind of what I've noticed. What is interesting with your squad as well is that it is a squad, right? You haven't got in like a 4 million defender. You haven't got Livramento at the moment. I'm stuck with Livramento and Johnson. So when you've got your bench for this week is Sanchez, Gray, Janssen, and Dawson all playing players. So you pay that little bit extra, but that can help you not have to take the hits because you can bring in players off your bench.
I do, yeah. I mean, historically, I tend to have quite a lot of money on a lot of money and a lot of points as well. My bench. Some people like to say, spend your money on the pitch, but with COVID, I much prefer to have a few points. I think I've benched ESR like twice. I think got like 21, 22 points or something. Excuse me. But yeah, I do prefer to have a playing bench at the moment, whereas previously I would have a 4 million keeper, 4 million defender, and maybe a 5.5 midfielder.
It's nice to see someone with a Brentford defender, even though you didn't even trust him with playing in his double
Oh,
game week this week in
oh,
Janssen.
yeah. With all that, all me mentioning how late to make transfers and things like that, I started my wildcard quite early,
Mm.
so Janssen would have had another double or something like that. I can't remember exactly how it happened. But once I saw Janssen's fixtures, was it Liverpool and
United.
United? I think I thought, what have I done here? What? And so I've got a guy with a double game week, and he's last on my bench.
I know. Well, I've got Pinnock, so I can relate to that. Villa. What are your thoughts on Villa? They got a good run coming up. Got Coutinho, Dean. Talk about Benitez. Sells Dean,
Yeah.
leaves. It's
Well, I'm
Agent
a big
Rafa.
fan of Dean. I mean, I know he's got a big following. Well, he's got my following certainly. I love everything about him from a fantasy perspective. Anyway,
Wow.
yeah, I just he gets slated a lot, and I think people forget that sometimes it can be down to the manager. Well, I think he was quoted as saying, I've been asked by my manager Rafa to be a defender, and that's why he hasn't been getting forward. And I'm just excited for him to be back. I mean, look, first game, I was like, yeah, there he is. That's the bloke I know. And I think he's going to really carry this on now. And with the fixtures as well, like you said, I think he's going to be back. I don't want to get too carried away. Actually,
I honestly, you're gushing about Dean. I wasn't expecting this level. I mean, nine assists last season, 8 assists the season before that. He's not far off levels of Robertson and Trent in terms of like pure
yeah,
assist potential, but you've got to
yeah,
think under
Cancelo
Gerrard.
as well.
And Cancelo, he's gonna get forward so much under Gerrard. You would have thought.
Yeah, I think he's one for me. He's one to watch just now because I've got other things to do.
Yep.
I actually almost hope he blanks because a lot of people just look at the blanks, whereas I'll look further into it. And if he's playing well, but without getting the points, I'm happy. That's like perfect scenario for me.
Well, opposite for me. Spoiler alert: I'm bringing him in this week.
Oh well. I hope it doesn't work.
Yeah, I bet you don't. I think there's a lot of people who are thinking that as well. What about Coutinho then? Obviously, as a Reds supporter, you've been kind of following him often his travels at Germany and Spain. It must be nice to see him back in the Premier League.
He is. I mean, he's a magician, isn't he? He's just wonderful. But I'm not sure about game time. I mean, but then again, he only got a few minutes the other day, and look what he did. But I might, as much as I want him, I might leave it another game or two. I don't want to leave it too long and suddenly notice that the fixtures and the ticker and everything has changed. It is a balancing act, isn't it? You got to time it right. Then I don't want his price to shoot up too much. But I think I'll wait. Watkins, however, because we got not great options. Let's be honest in attack, have we? It's all about the other positions: defenders, midfielders, even keepers to a certain extent, like Sarr. But up front is where there's a lot of space for growth and trying to find some new options. And I think Watkins, a lot of people are going to think the same thing, but Watkins is the one for me to get in this week.
So Watkins is the pick of the three. Is he the kind of Salah, Mount, switcheroo that you're looking at? Because you have to downgrade Ronaldo to someone, right? So Ronaldo to Mount, Ronaldo to Watkins, Mount to Salah, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I've not been a big fan of Ronaldo this year anyway. I just got him in for the sake of it, I wasn't thinking, oh yes, nice juicy, going to get Ronaldo in. So I thought, give Ronaldo a go, but I'll almost certainly end up getting rid of him after a few weeks. and now Watkins is emerging. I'm like, yeah, perfect, no brainer for me. Don't need Ronaldo at all.
There you go. Rupert the Horse says, get Watkins.
Yeah, but don't blame me if it doesn't do well.
There's always a disclaimer. It's been great talking to you, Rupert. I've got a couple of questions from Scout when I said that you were on. There's always one, isn't there? El Polaco. Why the long face?
God.
Yep. Moving
Good horse joke. Good horse joke, El Polaco.
Steve the Spud. So something that you would eat, I would assume, as a horse. They eat potatoes. Do they eat potatoes?
You're prepared, aren't you?
just comes to me, Rupert. You know, it's a gift. Why the username?
The username. I basically found this little horse on a horse farm out in the middle of nowhere, and I was sort of petting it and asked the generic, what's the name of this horse? Is it Rupert? And that's my name. So I took a little photo of the horse, and yeah, there we go, Rupert the horse.
And that's been your name ever since? Because you said you use it for everything, right? Or across all different whatever you do on the internet, you're Rupert the Horse. Call
of Duty, whatever it may be, it's Rupert the Horse for absolutely everything.
Rupert the Horse, everything. Love it. Delfeu asks about Jota. Oh, yeah. Thoughts on losing Jota?
Well, I have been thinking the same thing as well. A couple of people made some suggestions going with Robertson, and moving Jota to Salah. My only issue is I didn't think about that a week ago. So now I meant to do Mount to Salah, but yeah, now I've got this little thought in my head. Like Defoe is probably suggesting, I guess, in terms of losing Jota, he's probably thinking about going the Robertson route.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Do you think Robertson's maybe a better long-term hold than, a long-term sort of buy than Jota?
I do, because I think
cool.
Defenders are better long-term holds anyway. I think it sort of goes keeper, defender, midfielder, striker, doesn't it? In terms of how long you tend to keep people. Like I've probably had Cancelo and Trent since game week 1. Probably a lot of other people have as well. So yeah, I'd say Robertson's probably a better.
I guess the kind of caveat to that is if you're going with Trent and Cancelo and then you add Robertson as well, you've got a really pricey defence there. So if you do want to start moving for the likes of De Bruyne, maybe we'll see Sterling come into it. Could Fernandes be a factor? Son coming back? You know, we look to the defence first to downgrade, right? But I'm finding it really hard because I've got Livramento, Johnson, and Pinnock. Like the three worst defenders you could basically possibly have. Yeah,
it's a pound shop.
It's not pretty. But I'm looking at defenders around the 5 million and under mark, and no one's impressive. Like, there isn't really anyone. I mean, that's why I'm looking at Dean, because Dean to me is a standout, or even Cash. You know, if you pay a little bit more. But it's not easy. And then you look at someone like Robertson, and you think, wow, that is someone who could really, kick on from here towards the end.
But yeah, you're right. You do have to sacrifice. But that's the thing with so little money in attack for so many teams. You know, like I said, I gave Ronaldo a little go. Once Ronaldo's at the team, I'll have who? Antonio, Watkins, and Dennis, who costs nothing. Got to probably have keep an eye on his form, I guess. But with so little money in attack, you can spread it around. I probably won't be going for KDB or Sterling just yet. I'm reacting a little bit slow, I suppose, to Sterling and KDB, but I'm still worried about rotation and things like that. I don't need rotation in these sort of times. You know, rotation and games getting called off is not a good combo. So that's not for me. Some people would argue, I suppose, that Sterling, KDB aren't getting rotated that much, but we all know Pep. They could get rotated next week, and then we all go, "Oh, why did I go and get in Sterling?"
So you're just avoiding the City mids.
I am. I am. I don't see enough value. I think a lot of people are thinking about KDB of a few seasons ago. When he scores a goal now, it's like, oh my god, absolutely amazing. But you got to think about how much money you've spent on that solitary goal. I mean, same with Sterling, although he banged a couple the other day, didn't he? So I just think it's too much money when you've got people like who are really reliable. I mean, look at Bowen. I mean, he's just come out of nowhere.
Well, it's easy to do at the moment because Salah's not there. But as soon as you try and get Salah back, you're going to have Salah and a lot of people are going to stick with Ronaldo, and trying to get in 3 premiums as well as having the defenders that we've got. Is tough.
If you're sticking with Ronaldo, that's different. I don't know why you would, but if you're sticking with Ronaldo, that's a completely different story. Yeah, the whole get rid of Jota and replace him with Robertson strategy is going to be really difficult to work, especially if you haven't got a wild card. So yeah, for me, I probably will end up going Robertson, but that's because, like I keep saying, Ronaldo won't be in the team, so I'll have loads of money.
Not something I thought about, dumping Jota for Salah. Don't think I'll do it, but I've got Fernandes in the team, so it's an easy kind of upgrade ish for me. But yeah, I can see the logic. Because I think Robertson and Jota are similarly matched, and we're starting to see Robertson hit some form now as well, sort of going forward.
Yeah, he's about $1 million less, I think.
Yeah, he is. Rupert, it has been awesome to talk to you. Thank you so much for coming on. I believe we're going to hopefully get you doing some editorial stuff as well. Neil's got some stuff lined up potentially in the pipeline. Be great to have you on another video at some point as well.
Yeah, that would be great.
And to put a face to the name that I've seen self on the board. It's been great.
Yeah. So it's not a horse face, but well, some people might think it is. But
and if you if you're listening to this and you stick around after the video, you'll get to hear my brilliant joke that I made, which I edited out of the stream, but I'm going to add on to the end as a little treat. So,
honestly. All right, thanks, Hans.
Thanks so much, Rupert. I will speak to you soon.
All right, cheers. Bye bye. I've never spent any time in this room.
I've got to make the joke though.
What?
Are you a bit hoarse?